Fly? No, but he can leap tall buildings in a single bound. Here's your look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Classic Animation 1940s Superman. Up in the sky. Look, it's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. The amazing stranger from the planet Krypton, the Man of Steel, Superman, empowered with X-ray vision, possessing remarkable physical strength, Superman fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Nobody's going to read a comic strip about a strong man in tights, Joe, and it'll never fly. Anybody remember that Canadian moment? Okay, how about this moment, though, the moment when, of course, we take our tape measure and see just how tall the animation 1940s Superman stands. Some would also really like to call this one the Max Fleischer Superman, if you're familiar with the very limited series. Superman is going to be using, of course, the same Superman body as the Silver Age release from before. The figure is, because of that, it's going to stand the same at 7 inches in height, or roughly 18 centimeters tall. I guess maybe 40 years out of order. Here's what the figure looks like with a figure that we looked at that technically should have really been the figure that we looked at afterwards. Yet, though, as you can see, the figure is going to be using the same body as the Silver Age Superman. I couldn't, though, help but notice that if you're looking at this figure, and then you just happen to look at the one that's just over here, the one that from the Silver Age maybe looks a little bit taller, and it may have more just really to do with the sculpting of this hair, because also you can see like the hairs are completely different from one another. I did also want to bring in a couple of other Superman as well. Now, this is the Superman. This was the one that was packed along with Doomsday. This body's been used, I mean, how many times? This was really, for a while, the Superman go-to body. Never really was a fan of it. Superman always kind of came across a little bit squat to me. For a while, though, this was really one of my favorite Superman. This was the DC Reborn Superman. Still a fine-looking figure. I mean, it has a plastic cape. I mean, that's one thing, at least, that the newer figures can say that they have. Fabric capes instead of plastic. All right, I suppose that's not technically the right Superman that got packed with Doomsday. That Superman had a completely different head sculpt. Same body, though. Same body. This figure, though, again, is using the same body as the Silver Age Superman. Because of that, the figure is also using the exact same swappable hands. Before we talk about the hands over here, let's get our hands at least on the things that are over here. The figure, first of all, does come included with the display stand. More just the common territory that we've covered with the DC logo being branded. Psst. Branded down below here in black. And of course, off to this far corner, there's a peg that can plug into either one of Soup's boots. Soup's boots. Figure does also come included with a trading card. Now, I did want to bring in, even though it really isn't technically at all, I'm not going to be grouping these guys at all. I'm kind of really keeping all my Silver Age cards together in one area. And I'll probably be putting over the 40s Superman in a different spot altogether. You can see this is, again, like the 40s animation Superman. This is, again, the Silver Age Superman. Same size card, obviously. The back of the card, though, is also very different as well. The debut, though, of this Superman well, actually, it doesn't really even technically say the debut, whereas this one does. This one only really says Superman's real name is Clark Kent, in case you didn't already know. Superman is presented in full Technicolor, one of the big advertisements in TVs back in the day. A lot of shows were always really being advertised now in Technicolor. Woo. Then, of course, the read-up down below here is a little bit more specific to Soups for around this time frame. Nice looking card, though. I was a little disappointed when I really saw the costume that we're going to be getting for the James Gunn new Superman film. Truth be told, though, I honestly really was hoping that he was going to go with the Max Fleischer design. Now, we have seen this suit with the, was it the Clark and Lois, the Superman and Lois? I never really watched the show. It was the CW show where he had the sons. We did get a glimpse of this costume at one point, but that's really like the only time we've ever really seen this suit in a live action. And again, I was really, really hoping that James Gunn was going to say, like, you know, again, this is my start of Superman. I'm going to go right back to the very beginning. I'm going to design Superman based on the 40s look. Yeah, unfortunately, we never got that. It's sort of just, again, a combination of, like, All-Star Superman, and then there's a little bit thrown in there from New 52. It's just, I don't like the suit. I don't like the suit. Anyways, though, I do like the card. I don't really also like the fact that this figure doesn't come with much in the way of accessories. If you're familiar with the hands that came included with the Superman that's over here from the 80s, this Superman also basically has the exact same hands. So to grab the one from the Superman over here, just to like, so you guys can see. I think if anything could be said is the one from the Silver Age looks like it's a little bit lighter of a skin than the one that we're getting here. Is that the right one? Okay, let's just grab the right one. So again, like, it's a little more darker in color, more darker in complexion. Exact same hands, though. Exact same hands. To swap out the hands that he has right now, because again, on the ends of his forearms, he's got himself some closed fists. Let's do away with those closed fists altogether. Although, to be honest, though, I really do like the idea of Superman having the ways to punch bad guys. I think a lot of times he did that in the 40s series. Mad scientists, laser guns, usually were all the big baddies in those shows. Never really, I guess a couple of robots also as well. But yeah, to swap the hands out, basically all you really have to do is hold on to the fist. Hold on, whatever you do, don't let go. Just pop that off and take then the hand that you want to use. Thumbs will go in whether you're Kryptonian or not. Just plug that in place. Now Superman has himself, even though a flying hand, a lot of times really Superman back in the day. I think even in the Fleischer series, Superman did sort of leap and fly for periods of time. Anyways, though, you can swap the hands out if you want. In the end, I think I'm probably just going to be displaying this guy anyways with closed fists. But just to show you guys that's available. Head sculpt, though, is classic-looking Superman. Now, some would say, like, is Superman asleep? Is the sun too bright in his eyes? Well, they sort of did design the Superman kind of the way that he would have looked in the Fleischer series. So instead of actually having visible pupils, Superman sort of had more slits for eyes. I love this classic look to the character, though. It is very much different, though, than the Silver Age Superman, as you can see. Completely different head sculpts. It's not just the case that they took this head sculpt and then chose to have his eyes closed. No, they've sculpted it from scratch. He definitely does have a very good side profile. And of course, even though it's Superman, he still has a little bit of a curl, even though it's not as much predominant as the Silver Age release of him. That's a good looking head sculpt, though. Paint's pretty good on it, too. Down below here, the lips, although the lips are a little bit more smaller and thinner, the figure does have some really nice paint work on the face. One thing I do also really like about this is the design of the S emblem. It's a little bit more simpler by comparisons with obviously what we're getting now with logos, but I always really was a big fan of the fact that the logo, the Superman emblem, was outlined first in yellow, and then you had the black bold in interior with, of course, the singular S. The S didn't feel the need to connect itself to the ends. It was just an S that floated in the middle. Love the look of that Superman S. Could we again not have gotten that for the James gun? Okay, I'll stop talking. Now, the figure is going to be using the same body. The colors, as you can see, for the blue are completely much darker. Even like really the cape as well. Like whereas the Silver Age Superman did have, of course, the yellow emblem on the back of his cape. The Fleischer Superman or the 40s Superman doesn't have that at all. It doesn't really even need to have it either. The capes appear to be darker. Clearly, everybody can see that the darker blue is much more obvious here on this figure, and it's a lot lighter on the Silver Age. They have, though, used the exact same lower trunks. And instead of actually just sculpting a brand new piece, what they've done instead is you can see it still has the oval emblem or the oval belt buckle on the front. And then all the parts that would have normally been yellow here on this figure's release, they've just decided not to paint that. Because again, like this design of Superman, even if to again, well, I guess if really to look back on the card doesn't really give that idea. The card instead gives the idea that the lower trunks or the belt area has to be more in yellow. I think from what I remember, the 40s Superman never had that. He had basically just like a little oval painted in there. I mean, again, to use the mold again, the fact that we're even having this conversation of a 40s Superman, I'm fine for the fact that they're using this mold and double dipping it. And I think we're actually, in fact, getting another version of this Superman using this mold again. Seems to be sort of now the go-to soups, the buck body that we're beginning, probably with Superman figures moving forward until the line eventually dies. I don't know why while I'm saying this, I was looking at the bottoms of his feet. Yeah, the figure does have pegals on the bottoms of his feet, obviously, because he has himself a display stand, which was right over here. For the figure's articulation, 40s Superman has the same posability as the Silver Age, in that the head rotates all the way around. You can have the head looking down and looking up to the sky. It's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's the sky here. The arms do rotate all the way around. The arms do hinge out. I did notice again, though, like I think I may have even mentioned when we looked at this Superman, like his arms seem not excessively loose, not to the point where his arms are going to just drop on me. I mean, obviously they dropped, but it dropped only because I did that myself. But getting this guy out of the packaging seems to have a very similar issue. His arms just feel excessively loose. Not that they're going to drop and fall down, but they just feel like they're a lot looser than they need to be. Anyways, though, the figure does have a T-pose option. Of course, you have the option to move them also forward and back as well. The figure does have a bicep swivel, a double hinge on the elbow, and the hands rotate all the way around. Whether you want to use this hand, or hey, well, you want to use maybe this hand over here. Good options. Although those are the only options. The top of the torso is going to be on a ball joint. Lower down below that as well. The figure does also have the same in the abdomen area. The legs split out. Sure enough, they do. You can take the legs and move them forward. You can move them back. The swivel there is also there at the top of the thigh. There's a double hinge. Oh, double hinge. You can see that this is the leg I wasn't really doing much of the movement for. I was doing a lot more on this side. Crick, squeak, and crack are all the things my own legs do. The figure does have no articulation down below here, although it does feel again like his boots are a separate piece from his calf, but yet you can't really rotate them. Up and down motion on the ankles, you can move them back and forth there too. And the figure does also have, as the figures before that, toe articulation, so you can bend those back and forth too. Couldn't help but also mention as well that the figure does have a fabric cape. And the fabric cape, would you also believe, has a wire built on this side. And on the other side of the valley, the figure does also have a wire here as well. So you can bend and move the cape any which way that you want. You want to have it up and extreme like that, you can do that. Or if you just like to play it safe and have the cape flat and relaxed instead, you can easily pull that off. One thing going for the Superman, even though, again, he's using the same mold, is the color scheme. I mean, the 40s Superman design is really one of my personal favorites, to the point where, again, I really felt and hoped that James Gunn, starting his DC Filmverse, obviously starting with the original classic superhero Supes, would have then maybe gone back to the beginnings of Kal-El's story and given him the Max Fleischer or the 40s Superman design. The basic trunks, the basic emblem, and the darker blue color scheme are all the things I really like about this look of Superman. To the point, though, I'd really like to track down a t-shirt or something like that of that dark blue with a black classic emblem with a red RS that just pops on the figure's emblem. Even though, again, like it is using the same body, I think it's the smartest use of this body, considering also this seems to be like the buck that they want to kind of use moving forward when it comes to Superman figures. I think we're also getting another release of this Superman using also, the Kingdom Come Superman. Speaking of bold black S's on a black background, the Kingdom Come Superman seems to also be using the exact same bodies as well. And, again, like if you're going to stretch the mold out, at least it's a good mold to work with, as we get two good-looking Superman out of it so far. As a child and the product of the 80s, my first introduction to Superman didn't in fact come from the 40s. In fact, I don't think actually the Max Fleischer series even fell into my radar till later on in life. But probably the first time I saw Superman animated at all was Challenge of the Super Friends. And the Superman Friends battling the Legion of Doom. As a side series, even though it didn't last long at all, a good side Superman show to watch if you ever get the chance is the one from Ruby Spears. It debuted in the 80s, very short-lived run series. It actually debuted on Saturday mornings, and it had some of the best animation around. Although very much similar to Max Fleischer, Superman never really battled Lex Luthor or big baddies. A lot of times he was usually relegated to weird introduced characters, pirates, and the Shadow Thief. Though with this release, obviously this isn't the Ruby Spears, nor is it Challenge of the Super Friends. We're getting classic-looking Supes with loving the look of the black emblem outlined in yellow with the bold red S in the middle. This Superman strips down his colors, more as also when you're looking at his trunks too. Now, I went back and looked at the series again because I thought a lot of times he had a darker belt. Depending on when you saw the episodes, sometimes it actually looked like Superman in fact had a dark burgundy belt, where a lot of times it just looked like he just had the red trunks with the yellow oval. So the colors of this figure are accurate right down to the darker blue. It's probably one of my favorite things about this figure is the dark use of this blue. We don't get that often at times a chance to really see Superman dark like this. So really with the dark blue and the dark contrasting red makes this figure surprisingly pop a lot more than what you would think that he would, especially when you're comparing him with the Silver Age Superman. There's nothing going to beat the Silver Age Superman for how well that mold got used. The brighter blues and of course all the primary colors work really well with the figure, but there's something really charming though about the Fleischer series 40s Superman, where I really liked, again, like dark blue, the dark red, and especially the emblem. Let me know what you guys think of this figure down below in the comment section. And even though we don't really want to get this into a big debate, what do you guys think of the James Gunn not animated, but what do you guys think of the James Gunn Superman costume? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? I know really James Gunn, when it came to designing his own suit, he sort of did take and pulled it from different series. A lot of it really was more from the All-Star Superman, kind of a combination of All-Star and New 52. Do you like the look of the suit? Do you detest the look of the suit? Let me know what you think of it down below in the comment section. If you guys did also enjoy this video, why don't you do it a solid and throw it a like. If you guys certainly did want to stick around for more so, and I hope so, hit the subscribe and turn on the bell. I know we always kind of keep talking about why do we have to keep turning on a bell? A lot of times, unfortunately, though, like with just the way that YouTube is set up, even though you are subscribed and you think you're subscribed to this channel, you may not always know when new videos show up. The best way to prevent anything being lost in the mix is, again, like to go in there and make sure that the bell is turned on. We're going to definitely have a lot more DC Multiverse reviews coming your way, so if that's the kind of thing you like to come back to this yard for, I hope that you're also going to be coming back to the yard for other things as well, even like delicious milkshakes. But it's definitely going to be a lot more content coming your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.